I will talk briefly about why this paper is dear to my heart. Now, education is what I mean by knowledge transmission. And our education as a country has suffered right from the day colonialists set foot on our land. Today, Ghana's school curriculum is based on colonial model where the whole design was done by the colonial masters. That curriculum had an agenda. The agenda of that curriculum was not focused on developing Ghanaians and their communities. The focus of that was on training people to become clerical officers who will be keeping the books of the colonial exploiters. And therefore, in those days, all Ghanaian cultural forms, including music and dance, were thrown away. They were not part of the curriculum. Meanwhile, those are the libraries, archives, and repositories of Ghanaian Knowledge Foundation. I will expand on that later on. But they were actually removed. They were taken away from any move towards knowledge transmission. So my question is, what knowledge were we transmitting in that education? So let me just set the scene with my introduction. So I am saying that educating an individual group or a group or nation involves a process of knowledge transmission. And so every geophysical area is unique in terms of the principles, mechanisms, and peculiarities. And therefore, the process of education must be geared towards resolving human and environmental problems. And also it must be based on the native cultural values of the people of that geophysical location. This is my first proposition. And I know many people in this auditorium agree with me. I'm a Ghanaian. If I should develop or if I should be educated, I need a material that I can identify. I need to explore anything that can define me as Kwashie. Then I will get to understanding of my identity to be able to also identify other people around me. So we're moving on now. There's something I want us to look at today. It's been happening, nobody talks about it, but I want to bring it to all of us. Africa, 54 recognized nations with diverse ethnic groups. Now, when you look at the map of Africa over there, you can count the nations, count the countries. And we know this is a lie, it's a big lie. Africa has more than 54 nations. It's a big lie. But why are we so quiet when we keep saying this? But my only consolation is the adjective they use there. Recognized. 54 recognized. And my question is, who has the power to recognize a country in Africa and not recognize another one? And this is where the political dynamics begin. The imposition is the work of the colonizers. Although we say we are free in Africa, but we are not really free. We will go into that. I want people to know, all of us to know, that we are more than 54. And no one has the power to recognize one country and not recognize the other. So we have to look at all of those things. That's Ghana for you at the western gate of West Africa. And you see our Ghana map there. It also symbolizes our values and things that we are endowed with. When you see red there, hard work, bravery, and also sacrifice. Because people sacrifice to earn this place for us. And then you see the yellow there is talking about the mineral resource of our nation. We have gold. It used to be called the Gold Coast. We have diamonds, we have bauxite, manganese, and we have oil. Ghana should be a rich country. Yes, it is. Then the green talks about our vegetation, agricultural wealth, cocoa beans. We are #1 producer, cocoa beans, and also timber and the rest. Black star there It's not saying that we should sort of do individualism. No, it says black people here in Africa, we should come together as one. So it's talking about unity over there. So let's move down. I'm just trying to locate the people I want to talk about. Come to the country Ghana itself. Yes. So when you look at Ghana, you realize that it is divided into 16 administrative regions. Now, the region I'm going to talk about is the Volta region. The Volta region is very close to Eastern region, and it's also very close to Greater Accra region. As you can see over there, Volta region, and the capital is Ho. So coming down a bit, that is the people I want to talk about. They are called the Anlo-Ewe. Now, scholarly voices on these people, I want to make it clear that there have been some level of scholarly voices on these people, from anthropology, sociology, ethnomusicology, dance studies, and the rest of the social sciences. Yes. So these names include Fiagbaji, Nizio Fiagbaji, Kozo Avobodo, who is our local chair, G.K. Nukunya, Kofi Bolonyo, Amagado, Kwashie Kuwor, Giet, James Burns, David Law, Dr. Kumoji, Kofi Anyidoho, Stephen Friesen, Curtis Andrews, and the rest. They have explored these people, particularly their music, dance, and cultures. Now, the question is, what is music and dance in Anlo-Ewe land? I want to give you the totality of what they accept as music and dance, and how holistic it is. So when you look at it, the first quadrant has the body, that's the dancing body, and the dancing body produces movement and gestures. Then you move to the next quadrant, you have sound, instrumentation, and songs, rhythm, and vibration. That produces what we call music for the dance. And then go back to the left side here, we have something called visual form. Visual forms, we are talking about the things that people wear. It could be fabric, but there are symbols, there are shapes, there are things that speak to the audience. Then we talk about colors too. All of these things actually do what we call visual representation of ideas that the people believe in. The fourth one, which is the multisensory modalities, has to do with things that happen within the dancing body of the dancer, and they include kinesthetic senses, including balance and internal feelings, which is actually regimented on spirituality. I will demonstrate that in the examples that I'm going to bring you live. I'm so happy. There's nothing more fulfilling than to present in your home where I don't have to show video, but I have people here and we're going to give you a live performance. So with that, we say music and dance in Africa or in Ghana goes beyond body and space, extending to music, movement, language, symbolism, philosophy, religion, cosmology, cosmogony, customs, and institutions. Now, my argument for this paper is that if we want to do serious education or serious knowledge transmission, we have to look for the appropriate knowledge to transmit. Knowledge that Ghana needs to develop, not to pick knowledge from America that we are trying it because it worked in America. Because Ghana and America are not the same location. So I am saying my argument is that Ghanaian knowledge foundation dwells in Ghanaian music and dance. And not forgetting to mention language. Language is also there. So I have decided to show you examples from drum text, which is called Ube in their local language. Ube is drum text, which actually is done by producing tones from a drum to actually replicate speech utterances. And these are knowledge bodies that were stored in that repository for many years. And then we will use hardware. Agbo simply means song text. So we will sing a couple of songs and tell you what knowledge bodies are embedded there and are very, very appropriate in our educational system. Then we talk about ablameji or tsa, which refers to movement vocabulary or kinesthesia, and how movement vocabulary also exists as a storehouse of certain cultural knowledge that people need to use in knowledge transmission. Oh. So musicians get on the drum. We do hube. The hube here is coming from a dance called abaza. Those of you who do not know what I mean, abaza is the dance that we used this morning that brought a lot of people onto the floor. And it's a social dance and it functions as the identity of the Anlo-Ewe. Now, the hube here is saying, Bashi na babel agodivu na do. Listen to it again. Bashi na babel agodivu na do. So, Master Drummer Casco is leading, and other Master Drummers are supporting. Let's play the Horio. Let's all of them. So let me just talk about what they played. It says Bashina Babel Agotibu Nado. It simply means this. Or you can see the meaning. Say no to farming and trading, and torn and unwanted clothes will be your property. What it means is that if you're a lazy person, there's no way you can enjoy the luxuries of this world. And so when you look at it a bit closer, you realize that the concepts that you can talk about there are three. First, ashi. Ashi means trading. And second, agle. Agle means agriculture or farming. So in those days, there were only two major occupations, and everybody was expected to get into one or both. So you, the one who refused to do that, you know that you will never have the financial power to buy anything new for yourself. Talk about clothes. So you will have to wait when people have realized that their clothes are worn out, torn, and ripped off to the point that they don't want it again, they want to throw it away, you go take it as a second-hand user. And this particular drum language speaks to the people from their childhood that as they grow, they should get themselves into anything that will make them economically strong and sustainable tomorrow. But all these things were thrown away, and we are running to sing blah blah blah. She happy. Thank you. Now, this one is a song. So please don't play the drums. A song is say oh, ah, oh, ah, oh. Say oh, ah, oh, ah, oh, ah, oh. And yo. So it's very simple. You see, in Ghanaian societies, particularly in Anlo-Ewe society, there's nothing like buying funeral insurance or life insurance. There's nothing. So the song says, in this world, I know for sure that I have paid my dues by participating in the music and dance performances. So in the end, when I die, I am guaranteed that the Agbaza music and dance will bury me. Simple as that. So it tells everybody that this is a communal activity. You don't need to be invited. It's part of you. So now I move to the last example that is coming from the movement vocabulary of Agbaza. So Joe, can we come up here and give us, come upstage and give us a posture of Agbaza? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So, give us the posture of Agbaza. Now, Boboraji, Yema, that is it. Now, when you can describe it in your own words, but I just want you to see, if I do the description, I may not capture everything. So he's doing that. Now, yeah. And people will say it's the torso, people will say it's the shoulder blade. But I tell you, as you do this, okay, hold it. As you do this, it actually begins from the cord of consciousness, the backbone here, the spinal cord. And as you intensify it, the spinal cord sends energy to the rest of the body. In the end, what you get is spiritual catharsis. Now, two major body parts here are played. That is the spinal cord and the pelvis. Now, spinal cord actually represents connection between you and the architect of the universe. And it takes you right down to your feet, and your feet are actually going to be touching and having connection with Mother Earth. Mama Niba. So this is the reason why we don't wear shoes. We don't put on footwear when we are dancing, because you have to have contact with Mother Earth. As it suspends you, and the spinal cord leads you to the architect of the universe. Then the other body part is the pelvis. The pelvis here represents your neighbors, right side, left side. And then where the pelvis meets the spinal cord, right, is called the center. That center must be maintained. You have to have equilibrium there for you to be healthy. Check out. So, what that means is that in your whole life, to get that equilibrium is to stay in the middle, to be neutral. And it's for the governors of our societies that when they set up traditional courts to adjudicate cases, the adjudicators must do well to serve people fairly. Because if they lean against the other person because there's something there as a bribe for them and they do it, it means they are unwell and they can suffer the consequences. That is the stage in Agbaza. So basically Agbaza has 3 stages. The preparatory stage, which actually means you preparing yourself, and including training and education and resource mobilization. And then the second stage is when you exhibit the strong contraction and release of the torso, which exhibits the message you are saying that you are alive and moving in life. Then the climax finishes it by demonstrating how neutral you must be when you become a judge, or you are given the role to adjudicate a case. So we're going to play, and he will do that for like 30 seconds. Hold say hello. Show your back as you do it, or the two of you can do it. Now, the thing is this, The climax that he moves to the side, to the other side, is serving both sides equally, bringing them forward, and they drop it for posterity. Whoa. So we will come again, maybe tomorrow. So, yeah. Now, the preparation, that's what you saw. Preparation, constant reminder of Anlo-Ewe that to make any significant move towards progression in life, one must first engage in careful preparations, including proper planning as well as resource mobilization. Main motion is what you saw, and then you'll get spiritual catharsis at the end of it. Now, climax. It contains knowledge that regulates the traditional legal and judicial system of the people, how you should remain neutral. And that is what we have actually missed over the years. Even if we take the first, which was in a drum language that says Bashina Babel, Agodifu na Doklai. And we have been endowed with loads of natural resources, mineral resources, etc. Would you believe that we now go to the IMF begging for financial bailouts? I, Kwashie, do not understand why we should do so. Because the knowledge required for managing those resources are here. And we've demonstrated that. Had we done that, we would have managed our resources very well. Now, the core point we see here is coming from Professor George Hagan, who was one time the director of African Studies at this university. It says Ghana has had some kind of Western form of education for more than 100 years, and the general perception of both the positive and negative impact of Western education on our cultural values and sense of identity offers compelling reason to find ways of giving our traditional cultures a core place in the formal education system of the country. So all these knowledge bodies that we have explored in music and dance are the ones that must be core, but not to take other people's knowledge and assume that it's ours. There's something that actually makes my heart bleed, is that during colonization we were forced to speak English. We were forced to do everything. In my primary school, there was a big inscription there at the entrance, speak English always. In other places they say, speaking of vernacular is prohibited. You dare do it, they will smack you. Now, because of that, we all speak English. In Ghana, you finish university and you apply to another university in England and you want to do your masters, they are asking you to produce English language certificate. Not even the one you have from your country. I do not understand. And another thing that I believe we should do is to consider our languages too here. Because when you come to University of Ghana as a candidate, somebody applying, the barriers include you not only passing English language, but you have to have credit in English language before university doors are open to you. Meanwhile, the name of the university is University of Ghana. You don't find Ghanaian language there as just a barrier, but English language. These are the things that we have to look at critically. Now, with the core points, I'm going to conclude because I have my colleague to also do his presentation. So now, music and dance tradition in Anlo-Ewe constitute repository of a people's knowledge. It functions as a library and an archive, but continues to dwell in oral tradition for a reason. The reason why it is dwelling in oral tradition, and I want to highlight this, we should not be deluded to think that we can transform all of those things into written documentation. There's very little we can do in terms of documenting it. Because there's a reason why they were kept in oral tradition. The reason is that when we write them into books, arguably books do not give education. They do not. Books give information. But education is experiential. For you to have your experiential learning, they kept them in oral tradition. So you have to go there and experience it, touch it, feel it. There is the need for this unique knowledge to be merged with modern scientific knowledge for education in the 21st century and beyond. And I'm saying awareness of this knowledge and its application is enough to save African nations from seeking financial bailout from the IMF and the World Bank. And that is true. We've always said that we have to decolonize, but we are not ready to decolonize. It's about paradigm shift. On that note, I end my presentation.